it up between my hands and squeeze. You can see the water coming out of there, right? I'll just mix those herbs in. Hey, it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com, and today I'm going to do a recipe on how to cook zucchini in a way that you might not have seen before. It's late July and summer's in full swing, and if you've planted a number of zucchini in your garden, you probably have a lot of zucchini in your garden. And whenever I talk to people about, oh my goodness, I've got too much zucchini, usually the suggestion is, I have a great recipe for zucchini loaf. Right? Zucchini loaf, zucchini loaf, zucchini loaf. Well, a zucchini loaf is cake. I like cake as much as the next fella, but you can only eat so much cake. And so I had this on the counter. I just went out to the garden and I pulled these today, right? So, and I mean, I'm a bit of a unique case because I have about 12 zucchini in my garden. I do that every year. I grow these ones, and I also grow a yellow one that I make a relish with. But these green ones, I grow a different green one almost every other year or so, but I grow them for cooking. This variety is called Bossa Nova. I really, really like it. I've been growing Lebanese Magda for a few years, which I also like a lot, but I just wanted to try something different. So I tried these Bossa Nova, and they are fantastic. Great taste, very productive, great germination rate. No complaints whatsoever with these Bossa Nova. So anyway, if you're getting 2 or 3 a day, you got to use them, right? So I think I've done a video in the past on how to make a salad using zucchini, and it's something everybody here likes in my house, my wife and my kids. But today I'm going to show you how to do a cooked dish, okay? So I'm just going to grab a couple of these. I'm going to grab a really big one and sort of medium one. General rule for picking zucchini, I think, I use my hand span as a rule of thumb. My hand span is 9 inches. So if it's 9 inches, it's got to be picked. 9, 8 inches. If it's my hand span or slightly less than my hand span, it's time to pick, right? That way you get the bigger the zucchini gets, you start getting seed development, and the flesh of the zucchini starts changing itself. I mean, these things will grow, you know, almost 2 feet long. They'll get really big. And you can still use them when they're big, but they're easier to use and much easier to process when they're, like look at these two here. So this one I would say is about, this is 8 inches, and this one's 9. And I'd say this is more ideal. I think 8 inches is a good rule. So just measure your hand span, right? Because then you know when you're out in the garden, okay, I better pick this one, leave that one more day. This time of year, they grow 1 inch or 2 a day, right? Some of these things were much smaller yesterday. Overnight, they grow a lot. Okay, so the idea with this recipe, what do we need? We need zucchini, and I'm going to use 2, because that's about right for my family. It's a side dish, right? About 2 zucchini, you know, about 8 inches long. We need a tomato. We need onion. We need 1 clove of garlic per zucchini, so 2 cloves of garlic. Some herbs. I like basil, but use whatever you got. You can use oregano, parsley is really nice, right? Those sort of things, right? Mediterranean. Some olive oil, salt, pepper, and a little bit of hot chilies is nice, but not essential. Salt and pepper is a basic thing, right? All right, so let's get going here. And you don't need to have fresh herbs, right? I make this dish using just dried oregano, right? Use whatever you got, but preferably oregano. You know, you can't just use any old herb, right? But oregano, parsley, basil works really good. First step is to, we're going to salt this zucchini. That is to say, we're going to cut it in thin strips, and we're going to apply salt to it, and the salt will remove the moisture in the zucchini. And this is a cooked dish. If you just cut up zucchini and you cook it, because there's so much water in it, it gets kind of mushy. When you put it in a brine, for a very short amount of time, like 15 minutes, it draws the moisture out of the zucchini, and it behaves differently in a pan when you're sautéing, and it stays together and it retains its texture. And yes, you're adding some salt, but a lot of the salt, you're going to remove water from the zucchini, and the salt is in the water that you've removed from the zucchini. And the remaining salt that's in the pieces of zucchini that you use is just the right amount of salt for the dish. Let's get going. I'm going to bring the camera here, show you what I'm doing here. Okay, so we got a beautiful zucchini here. I'm going to cut off this end. I'm going to cut off this end. Okay, and then I'm going to make a cut down the length, just off the edge, so that I can anchor this. It doesn't flop around. We don't cut our fingers off. Now I'm going to cut this on a bias. Well, everybody cuts a zucchini like this. You got to learn to cut vegetables on a bias. It's just, they're more tender, easier to deal with. We're cutting this on a bias, meaning diagonally, okay? It's just a fancy way of saying we're cutting it diagonally. I'm going to make a bunch of big, thick slices on a bias. Okay, like so. Once we get down to a little piece like this, we risk cutting our fingers, so we just cut it up like that. That's fine. Okay. Now we're going to take these thicker pieces. We can do this one of two ways. You can cut them cross-grain like this into like little tiny matchsticks, or we can cut them again on kind of a bias to get a kind of noodle. And you know, food is as much a visual experience as it is a texture experience or a flavor experience. Everybody experiences it differently. If you're lucky, you experience it in every single way. You experience the texture, you experience the visual, you experience the actual flavor. If you're really lucky, you've got all of those senses. But anyway, based on the way my family responds to this dish, you know, if you're growing stuff in a garden, you respond to your family. I would say, watch your family. Watch how they react to things, because you want them to eat the stuff out of your garden, right? Okay, so I like to cut this on a kind of semi-diagonal bias. That makes a kind of noodle, right? See, it looks like a noodle, short noodle, 4-inch noodle, right? But for whatever reason, and it's a beautiful color. It's got this avocado sort of look to it. Doesn't take long to do. I cut that one a bit thick. These are all the things that people seem to think they don't have time to do. But how long is this taking, really, right? It's not hard to do. It's all about developing confidence with a knife. That's one zucchini done. I'm just going to take this last piece here and cut that up. If you're mystified at what I'm doing with my hands here, these are just basic knife skills. All right? So that's one zucchini. Let's cut another one up. This is a really tasty way to do a zucchini. So, you know, if you've got, I mean, some people just boil them or do these really boring things with them. But for me, it's all about building flavor. Right? We're going to use the garlic, we're going to use the onion, we're going to use the pepper and the salt, right? And we're going to build a flavor. Zucchini is really good at taking on flavor. I guess I cut this one differently. I cut these ones lengthwise. You could do it any way you want, all right? I wasn't thinking. I like to be consistent in videos, but you know, I'm really consistent when I'm actually cooking. I cut the other ones in a bias, and we're still cutting in a bias here, so it doesn't matter, right? Lots of different ways to do it. I was trying to do it a simpler way. Either way works. The way I just cut it is a bit more risky in terms of cutting yourself, but both work just fine. This one is more risky in terms of cutting yourself, but it's a faster way to process up the zucchini. All right, this is the way I normally do it. The way I showed you in the first case was how I would teach one of my kids or a beginner. And if you're not super confident in your knife skills, I do it that way. All right, so we're almost done here. We'll just fly through this last little bit here. Okay, so now we got a nice bowl that's just the right size. We're going to take all our zucchini, put it in the bowl, right? I got some all over the place here, so I'm going to just gather that all up. Get organized. There we go. A couple hit the floor. I'll put those in the compost. Okay, now we've got our zucchini in a bowl. Now, we're going to add 1 heaping teaspoon of salt. You can use kosher salt, you can use pickling salt, you can use Himalayan salt. This is just ordinary table salt. I like to use the things most people have kicking around their house. I don't like to get exotic. You can use any old kind of salt you want as long as you got a level or heaping teaspoon of it. Okay? We're just going to sprinkle some of that on there, move it around a little bit, sprinkle some more, move it around a little bit, sprinkle some more, until we've got that whole healthy teaspoon of salt. Okay, now we're just mixing that up. That salt is going to draw the water out of this zucchini. It's going to change the texture of the zucchini. It's going to allow you to saute the zucchini in such a way that it doesn't turn into a disgusting, mushy mess. It's not a matter of nutrition, it's a matter of texture, right? So it's going to be, I can already feel this, I can feel this being wet now. I see how my hands look wet, right? I don't know if you can see that on camera, but everything's getting wet now because the salt draws the water out. Okay. Now you can do this if you're eating at supper, you can do this at lunchtime, you can do this hours beforehand or 15, 20 minutes beforehand. Either way is fine, okay? That's ready. I'm going to do some other things in the kitchen now. Every once in a while I'm going to do this. Maybe every 2 or 3 minutes I'll just re-massage. Helps, okay? Otherwise, it's time to go on to the next stage. Okay, so now I'm going to start getting things going in the pan. I'm going to turn the pan on to slightly higher than medium heat. Okay, I got my pan at about 3/4 heat, but that's because it's a carbon steel pan. If you're using Teflon, you're just going to have to go to about, half, 50% heat. So we got some garlic, onion. That's what we want to start off with. Start off with the onion because it won't burn, right? Start your garlic too soon, it'll burn. So we got a whole onion here. With this recipe, you could use half an onion or a whole onion. That's really up to you. Doesn't really matter. Either way works fine. Depends on your family. Do they like onions? Do they hate onions? To me, onions make everything taste great. But I need this for something else. I'm just going to do a half onion. So if you have 2 zucchini, you can use a whole onion or half an onion. Doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm just going to use half an onion. That's fine. Again, I'm going to cut this, instead of this way, I'm going to cut it on a bit of a bias. Cut it really fine. Like that. Now I'll flip it. If this looks really easy, it's because I've got a chef's knife and it's sharp. You want to make your food prep in your kitchen easier. Get a chef's knife. Doesn't have to be expensive. I think this was a $50 one. I've even got $30 ones. They're fine. Keep it sharp. Learn how to sharpen it. Okay, that's all we need to do with this. We're going to get that in the pan in a second when the pan's heated up. While we're waiting for the pan to heat up, we'll also get this garlic ready. These are fresh garlic from my garden. I grow about 200 garlic here. These are not from the garden. My onions aren't ready yet. These are from the store. Okay, I could use onion greens. I have those. But onions are relatively expensive, so fresh garlic, it helps to cut them in half lengthwise before you smush them. Okay, so we're just going to prep these garlic. Really easy, just squish them like that. All right, once you've squished them, the peel will come right off. Just using your hands, the most important tool in the kitchen. If you don't believe that, just get a really bad cut on one of your fingertips and see how much you slow down. Now we're just going to mince up this garlic really fine, like that. Good. Okay, now it's time to go over to the stove. We'll see you there in a couple seconds. Okay, so we're going to put in about tablespoon. Oh, that's like 2 tablespoons of olive oil. That's about right. You can go with 1 tablespoon if you got a Teflon pan. This is a carbon steel pan. I love these pans. Last forever. You can use higher heats. And we'll get our onion and our garlic. You ever just put garlic in hot oil it can burn really fast and it can disrupt, kind of ruin the flavor, right? You want to cook your garlic, but you don't want to burn your garlic. You add it with a little bit of onion and it just won't burn. Right? You want to toss this around. I like using a fork, but you use whatever tool you want. You're tossing this around until the onion starts to brown a little bit. Okay? Notice I haven't added any salt, no pepper, no nothing, right? Just the onion and the garlic. You want to speed up your cooking time, get a pot lid, something shiny like this, right? This is not the lid for this pan. This is from a different pot. This is for like a lobster cooking pot. But it fits flat. This will reflect the heat back down and it'll half the amount of time it takes to cook this. Just an old restaurant trick, okay? All right, so while that garlic and onion is working away in the pan, we're gonna get this tomato ready. I think 1 tomato is fine for this dish. You can go up to 2, I wouldn't go any more than 2. The point of this recipe is that the zucchini is the star of the show, but the onion adds a nice flavor. All right, so just gonna prep this onion up. All right, cut the center out. Put this up really fine. So the trick here is to take your onion and you're going to sort of get rid of the center of the onion. Okay, you got this sort of like, you want this onion to be like that. Okay? This part has less moisture and it'll fry up really nice. Okay? So all you're doing is you're just, with your fingers, you're sort of removing the center part. We're still going to use this. This is the sort of center guts is going to be like a sauce, right? But we're removing that for now. Okay, we're just taking the center out. We're taking the outside piece. It has less moisture and it'll fry up nice. It's all, you know, browning your onion or browning your tomato. It adds a fantastic flavor, and this will, you know, this will be it's the little things like this: browning the onion, browning the tomato. It's all these little steps that take simple ingredients and make a delicious dish. And people, they try to copy your food and they can't figure out why your stuff tastes better all the time. It's because you're just doing these little things, right? So now I got all these nice little tomato fingers that are kind of low in moisture content relative to this pulp from the center, right? These will fry up a little bit. Okay, so this is all ready to go. I'll give this one more little toss. It's getting nice, really wet. You can see how it's sort of glistening. I don't think that comes across on camera, but it's wet. There's about 2 tablespoons of water now in the bottom of this bowl, right? So we're drawing the water out of this zucchini, right? And of course, most of that water is where the salt is. And you can eat it just like this. It's fine. It tastes pretty good. But anyway, we're going to cook this up. Okay, let's go back to the pan. Okay, here we are back at the pan. Let's have a look at what's going on here. That didn't take long. It took about 2 minutes. We got a little bit of browning going on already. That's enough. I mean, the zucchini's brown and some of the onion's brown. All the onion isn't brown, but that's enough. Because we're going to add these tomatoes. If you know anything about cooking, the effect of these tomatoes is they're going to kind of deglaze the pan a little bit, right? The tomatoes have moisture. We want to dry them out a little bit. We want that moisture to evaporate. Or we want to sear and brown these tomatoes just a little bit. It'll give them a nice flavor. Okay, at this point, it's okay. I'm going to add some pepper. Maybe this is like half a teaspoon, which on this thing is maybe like 15 cranks, something like that. A little bit of pepper is nice. If you like things a little bit of zippy, you can just put the slightest pinch of crushed chili peppers, or Tabasco, or hot sauce, or whatever you got. You don't have to. Not essential. All right. Now we're just going to move that. I'm going to turn the heat back up because now I'm attending to the pot. So when we were over there cutting up the tomatoes, I actually turned it down to medium because I wasn't looking at the pot and I couldn't attend to it. Now that I'm back in front of the pot, I've turned it up to about 3/4 right? And more heat, doesn't matter because I'm moving things around, right? You don't never, not a good idea to leave an unattended pot at, 3/4 heat or max heat. But if you're right on it, you can do that. Okay, so I turned that pan back down to medium heat because I got other things to do over here, trying to make good use of my time. Just gonna pick this up and give it one more massage. Pick it up between my hands and squeeze. You can see all the water coming out of there, right? See that? Get all that water out. You don't want to have steamed zucchini, you want sautéed zucchini. Okay? You're not going to get all the water out, but you get out as much as you can. Again, I'm squeezing. All right? Getting at all my angers and frustrations. We got a lot of water of this. You can save this water and use it. I don't know if you're going to be boiling pasta or something like that. You can use the water in that because it's got salt, right? And it's got a bit of flavor from the zucchini. Okay, so I just want to show you how much water we have in here. Right, we got about, almost 1/3 of a cup of water from that zucchini that we removed just by adding salt. As a result, this is going to fry better, okay? Just going to give this giving everything on the stove a quick stir. Everything's browning up really nice. You can't see, I don't know if you can see me or not, but I'm giving everything a quick stir. I'm trying to be fast. This is how we cook around here. We're also going to add the remaining tomato pulp just to bring the temperature down in the pan. Okay, now I'm going to bring this back over here and we'll do up our basil. Just ripping the stems off here. This is maybe 4 tips, maybe like 1/4 cup of chopped basil, right? You chop it up really fine. And you add this at the last minute. Okay, you add the zucchini, you toss it around until everything seems hot, and then you add this basil. Because you don't want to really cook the heck out of your basil, right? Like that. Okay, that's minced up nice. That's ready to go. Let's go back to the pan and finish this dish. All right, I got to say the house smells amazing right now. Just all the brown onion and the garlic and tomato. I'm going to assume we got some brown, some caramelization on that tomato. It only took a few minutes. Really, this video, we haven't really had much downtime. I've either been at this pan or prepping something. A little bit of extra time to deal with cameras and stuff like that, but not much, okay? So this is practically a real-time video. Now I'll add these. You'll notice there's really not much moisture in the bottom of this bowl, maybe a tiny bit. So don't dump the bowl in. Again, you don't want to bring any more moisture than is necessary. You don't want to bring any more moisture than is avoidable. You want the zucchini to be as dehydrated as possible. So I got about another, 2 teaspoons of moisture in here, okay? That's good. All right, so then we just take this, and we're going to toss everything around now. Get all that onion and garlic and flavor, and with the zucchini. I'll turn my heat back up to 3/4, because I'm back in front of the pan, and I want, this is a fast dish. You get your meat and starch ready, and while that's all cooking, you got some steak and potatoes or chicken and pasta, whatever your dish is. Right? You get everything ready, and then when everything is just finishing off, that's when you make this dish. You can have this in lieu of a salad or in addition to a salad. And another twist on this, if you've got kids or a spouse that's maybe a little bit fussy or not a big fan, when you're frying those onions, add 1 or 2 diced up slices of bacon or sausage, and nobody will complain. Everybody's gonna love it, right? I don't need to do that right now because my family is fine with this. But maybe when my kids were 5 and 6, we'd add a little slice of bacon in there, right? Because it just gives it that taste. Another thing you can add just to give it that, I can't remember the term for this, umami, I think is the term, is maybe a tablespoon of fish sauce or anchovy paste. Not essential. Okay? What I've done here, to me, what I've done today is what I consider the basic recipe. Now I'm going to add my herbs. There's steam coming off of this, right? So I know everything's hot. I'll just mix those herbs in like that. So I get that. I would recommend not using a mix of herbs for this dish. Use one herb, so that, because zucchini takes on flavor. So if you're going to use oregano, the oregano is going to be the kind of like the star. If you've got basil, use it. I think it's the best. Parsley is nice too, but don't use many herbs for this dish. Use one herb so it can sing, right? So you can get this you can show off, right? What you've got when you have this, tomato adds acidity, it's just nice. But what you've got is garlic and basil, right? That's the dish, really. Salt, pepper, zucchini, yeah. But when you're eating it, the flavors that are going to sing and really sell it, garlic and basil. Of course, if you added bacon, you're going to taste the bacon too, or sausage or whatever. Whatever you add, that's going to add to it. But really, this is a garlic herb dish. And really, your zucchini is almost like a pasta, right? But depending on which zucchini you use, it might have nice flavor, and so it just amps it all up, okay? This is done. This is ready to serve. Doesn't hurt to have it rest for about a minute or two, but this is ready to go. All right, so here we got this beautiful, vibrant, colorful zucchini dish. Have a look at that. Doesn't that look good? There's many different variations and ways to do this, right? It's all a question of your imagination. Let's give her a taste. Hopefully this isn't too hot for my tender sensibilities. Oh. It's so good. So, yeah, the salting, you get this nice, wonderful texture in the zucchini because it's so good at absorbing flavor. You taste the garlic, you taste the herbs and the pepper. This is really good. It's so simple and so easy to do. And such a great way to use up all those zucchini you have in your garden that you're drowning in, right? Because you can't just eat zucchini loaf every day of the week, right? Okay, so quick, simple, easy way to make zucchini. Seems like a lot of steps, but it's really pretty simple. I'm going to put a written out recipe for this on my Substack page. My Substack page is a subscriber page. Paid subscribers get to see everything, but the recipes are all free. Okay, so if you want to make something that I've made in my videos, and you don't want to watch a 10-minute video to learn how to make it because you've seen the video before, just go to my Substack page. I got all the ingredients right there. And unlike other recipes online, the first thing I have right at the top is the ingredients. So you know that you've got the things you need to make the dish. All right, so I hope you found this interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden, have fun in your kitchen. Thanks for watching.